Tribe Called Cars becomes a Tribe Called Planes as I try out Microsoft Flight Simulator. Here's what I've learned from the perspective of a newbie pilot, including tips, tricks, and graphics settings. Usually, I only play driving games, but today I momentarily break that tradition because Flight Simulator 2020 is a big moment in gaming, not only because it's a technical masterpiece in many ways, but also because travel is limited these days, so it's the next best thing. Whether it's being a total nerd and flying in real time across the Atlantic, performing barrel rolls in a Cessna, doing dangerously low flybys near the pyramids, exploring Area 51, or finding your house, the Asobo developed title has it all. Unfortunately, the Microsoft Flight Simulator Xbox release date is still to be confirmed at the time of making this video, but I can tell you that this £60 game available on the Microsoft Store can be had by signing up to Game Pass for £1. Yes, £1, and you can cancel at any time. After the first month, it's currently $3.99 for the basic Game Pass, $7.99 usually, and that includes full access to the 100 plus games library. Ooh, Rise of Nations, don't mind if I do. The fancier Game Pass Ultimate version, which is also available for £1 and usually $10.99 a month, gives you member discounts and deals, perks, the ability to play games on your mobile using xCloud from September 2020, and Xbox Live Gold, so you can consolidate 2 payments into one and save a shiny pound. No, Sean Connery. And save a shiny pound. Pricier versions with more airports and things are available, and you can buy new content from within the game. Anyway, buckle up, put your seat in its upright position, and keep those armrests down, because Captain Griff is here to guide you to your destination. Manuals schmanuals, right? Wrong. The Cessna tutorial missions may not be enthralling, but each mission is there to help you fly a plane, and that's important in a game about flying planes. Initially, your friendly invisible co-pilot tells you which button does what, such as providing full engine power, and then what your instruments are telling you, such as how close you are to the ground, and that your attempt at the loop-de-loop has resulted in a deadly stall, and you're now spiraling your way to death. The tutorial continues into how to take off and land, holding patterns, and scariest of all, flying alone without any help from the ghost co-pilot. Suffice to say, I still have little idea of what I'm doing, but at least I can land on public roads, which was the aim, and the time investment was minimal. Yes, I know, Flight Simulator is a PC game and a well-received one at that, PC Master Race, blah blah blah, but it's also coming to Xbox at some point, including the Series X. That I really want. That and the fact Microsoft cares about PC and Xbox integration means you can use a controller instead of just a mouse and keyboard. Having some fancy proper Flight Simulator accessories would be best, assuming you can buy anything, as they seem to have sold out in many places. However, I personally think the joysticks of the Xbox controller work well for a beginner like me, and are still rewarding. Even with an RTX 2080 Ti and the absolute best CPU, 4K Flight Simulator will struggle to reach 60 frames per second. It's just too challenging a game to process regardless of how much money you throw at your preferred retailer. Plus 25 to 30 frames per second is the norm for flight simulators. But for those with a potato computer who simply want it playable, or someone like me who has a fast but not crazy fast setup, it helps to know which graphics display settings are the most GPU, memory, and CPU intensive. Without boring you to death, the difference between ultra and high is surprisingly small in terms of aesthetics. In fact, some effects seem to be a placebo. I don't mean the band. Obviously, dropping from 4K to 2.5K or 1080p helps a lot, as there are significantly fewer pixels on screen. But so does reducing terrain level of detail from 200 to somewhere between 50 and 100. You can also reduce object LOD to somewhere between 50 and 100, buildings to its lowest setting, decrease volumetric clouds to medium or high, and anisotropic filtering to off or 2 times. I hope I pronounced that right. Texture supersampling, terrain shadows, ambient occlusion, and light shafts can also be reduced or turned off for a potentially noticeable performance increase, without affecting the visuals much. One thing I have noticed is that sticking to your screen's resolution and reducing the render scaling slider looks better than dropping to 2.5K or 1080p, especially on larger monitors. Solid-state drives, or SSDs for short, are much faster than traditional disk-based hard drives. The issue with Microsoft Flight Simulator is that you need just under 100 gigabytes of storage space, which is a big chunk out of my 512 gigabyte SSD. Also, the download speed is just terrible. You can get away without an SSD, and standard hard drives are cheapish these days, but the loading times in Flight Simulator are quite something. I've waited 2 minutes a few times, and that's bearing in mind I have a fancy Samsung Evo 960 thing. Whatever. If it's the DIY fears that keep you from upgrading to SSD, just get an external unit and away you go. You can actually install Windows 10 on one. Just don't accidentally knock the cable out if you do. Now I know it can be tempting to pick the fastest or biggest plane, which is exactly what I did before crashing. But what you should be looking at in the early days of your captaining career is something that can fly low and steady, preferably with a low cruise speed too, as this makes sightseeing easier. Propeller planes and turboprops tick those boxes, although you do lose out on fuel range and speed, so some journeys will take longer or be impossible. In this instance, go with an airliner or jet. A good way to practice Microsoft Flight Simulator is to use the world map mode and either type in countries or airports you would like to see. Or, and this is way more fun, type a point of interest such as the pyramids, set as a departure point, and get exploring. Some planes are actually hard to see over the nose even when flying, so consider adjusting the camera settings. The tutorial actually talks about creating a custom camera view that you can store and jump to when necessary. This is pretty handy. Also consider using a plane with a decent map, as navigation with just a compass can be challenging if you're new. Real pilots do not have the luxury of stopping in real time to look around, unless you're talking about that weird X-Files episode. But you can if you assign the active pause command to a button. It's basically like using the escape button, except it does not bring up the menu, so you can look around the plane and take pretty screenshots. Personally, I assign it to control, but you can choose whatever. Just make sure it doesn't interfere with something major, like the landing gear. So, you're already hooked on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Why not consider a proper control setup to make life easier and more authentic? There are many options from the likes of Logitech, Saytech, Thrustmaster, Verpil, hope I pronounced that right, and VKB to name a few. You're best off doing some research and listening to experienced Flight Simulator players for specific recommendations, as requirements and budget obviously varies between players. Just make sure to have a surface to attach them to and then, reach for the skies. And that's it for A Tribe Called Planes. I hope you found this video useful, maybe even entertaining. I'll answer questions about Microsoft Flight Simulator in the comments, subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye.